Hello everyone and welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT podcast. It's Gav back again, another 3 points, another win, bish bash bosh. Yeah, I mean it wasn't as easy as that, but we'll get into it. Lads, today joining us are Ant and Malk. Boys, how you doing?
Not bad.
Yeah, not that bad, thanks. Better for watching that one get squirreled away, it was a bit of a tough one, wasn't
it? Well, 3 points are 3 points, especially against a big team. We'll get right into the action of the game, I guess. First half, I was sat there at half time, not over the moon with the performance, but I guess I had to reflect on the game last week, where by half time we didn't play particularly well and we turned it on a bit second half. And to get into half time against a decent team, 0-0 isn't the worst in the world, and I think that's probably something we're going to have to become accustomed to with Phil Parkinson. Second half, we turned the screw a little bit. The first 10 minutes, I think we got better. We improved the tempo, upped, and then dropped again because mainly Peterborough's pace in attack led to us dropping a little deeper than we perhaps normally would. And then a stroke of luck, Denver Hume once again, one of those deep runs, gets into the box, gets fouled. I'm a little bit sketchy on the penalty, but we'll come to that later in the show. Ledbetter steps up, takes it, dispatches of it perfectly, and we see the rest of the game out. I mean, as far as 1-0 wins against fellow promotion rivals go, and that's about as efficient as it gets, isn't it?
You pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Like you say, first 10-15 minutes I was sat thinking, how many is this going to be to Peterborough, because that Dembele for them was absolutely torturing us, and I thought it was just a matter of time. But the more and more the half grew on, I thought we looked more comfortable. And then, like you say, in the second half, probably against the run of play. But for me, the first time we put their defence under any type of pressure, made them make a mistake, which led to the penalty. And we need to start doing that a bit more. But as you said there, you look at the first 3 games, we've got 7 points out of 9. We've got to really look at that and think that's a good start, if considering where we want to be at the end of the season.
Yeah, Malk, anything to add in there? How did you feel about the overall performance today?
I thought the first half was better than the first half last week, but then we'd set a pretty low bloody bar there, so that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
There were long periods where we had to absorb pressure. As we went through the game, I don't know if Dembele ran out of steam or if we worked out how to kind of suppress him a little bit, and I think that made a bit of a difference. But yeah, I mean, every team, when they want to do something in a league, has to now and again just grind a result out, and we did that today. So yeah, it's 3 points that we might look on later in the season and very, very much value. So I'll take them, but it wasn't a great performance, but we'll all take them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was going to get onto Dembele actually. There's a player who has been hyped all week going into this game as the one to watch. Darren McAntony on the extra pod, he talked him up a lot as their strongest player. For me, I went into the game and I think I said both in our chat and on social media that every time he's played against us, I haven't really been impressed by him. And today, barring a couple of moments where he left people on their backsides, he didn't do anything for me. I didn't. Although he was quick and he did breeze past Ledbetter a couple of times, and there was once he got past Jordan Willis, I think it was. He didn't do anything. I wasn't overly scared of him, and I'm glad the defence weren't. I'm glad that Bailey Wright in particular just held firm. Another clean sheet against a team people fancy to score a lot of goals. I mean, that's another thing Darren McAntony was talking about going into the game. The fact that Darren Ferguson's teams all play on the front foot, score a lot of goals. I mean, they didn't look much of a threat to me. And then Johnson Clark-Harris up top, just a bit of a big lump who didn't really do much with the ball. So I think you've got to give our defence credit, to be honest. I think we played really well at the back today. Another solid defensive performance. I don't know what you lads think about that, but in particular, I felt Flanagan and Bailey Wright were outstanding today. Another great performance from those two. And I haven't been particularly kind to Flanagan all of the time, but I think he's very much playing like a man who knows that he can't put a foot wrong, isn't he, Ant?
Definitely. I will say for Flanagan today, I thought that was probably his best performance in a Sunderland shirt, because he looked so solid. He never put a foot wrong. Some of his tackles were fantastic. He made an absolutely superb crunching tackle in the second half. I love to see them. It went right through the player, right through the ball. Fantastic, And I think you're right there, because he knows that, Jamajli is waiting in the wings, and he's the one, I think, who is susceptible to be dropped for Shemajli once Shemajli's ready. But he's not put a foot wrong today. Last week, I know we come in for a little bit of criticism for saying he was poor, but he probably was in out of the three in the back. But today, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Malk, anything to add there, mate?
Yeah, I mean, Flanners was strong. I remember times last season when we'd not long had Jordan Willis, and we were like, bloody hell, he's a centre back who can actually go forward with the ball. And from my memory and my notes from the game, I think Flanagan pushed forward with the ball more than the other two centre backs did today. He really ran into gaps, created a lot of good link up with Hume. So yeah, he had a solid game, and he's going to give Shemajli some questions about when he's going to break in, and he's going to give Parkinson some challenges about whether to make that change, and that's what we want. We want strong competition in all positions. So yeah, he did very well today, Flanners.
Let's talk about the midfield. The next, Josh Scowen came into the team. People have wanted to see him play for a while. Max Power obviously missed the game with an injury. Was anybody impressed with Josh Scowen today? I've seen mixed reports across the board, really. Some people think he played well, some people weren't so sure. He was actually moved out wider once Maguire went off, wasn't he? But yeah, how do we feel about how he played, Ant?
Thought what he does, what he's been doing well with his crossing and his set players he was poor with. I mean, with Scowen, he runs around like a madman for 90 minutes, doesn't he? So you're always going to get that from him, but I wasn't too impressed with him. Maybe the yellow card he got early on kind of stopped him from being what he can do. But I'd probably say maybe, just average really today. But from what we've all been wanting him in for Leadbitter or Power or whatever, he didn't particularly put his stamp on it, did he?
No, that's the thing, isn't it? Do you think Power comes back in next week, Malk, after that, or do you think Scowen did enough today to keep his place?
Well, obviously it depends if Power's fit, but I think he did enough.
Depends on Maguire as well.
Exactly, he might have to change the whole formation, mightn't he, based on what's happened today. But I think he did enough. I mean, Maguire had a poor first. I know we're kind of moving towards how the players have done it. I don't think Maguire had a great first period till he went off.
No.
But the dead ball situation and the set piece, if somebody who's decent at that isn't having a great time, then give somebody else a chance. And I think he did okay with that. I mean, he didn't score a goal. But yeah, I think he did enough certainly to make the manager think about it and consider both the best formation and the best team members in that formation. He's, he didn't have a stinker, but he wasn't stellar, let's be honest.
Let's talk a little bit about the system then, and we've got, Charlie White leading the line, bit of a gap between the midfield and the attack. Two wide players today, with most of the width coming from Denver Human 09 on the flanks, but it was a strange one. It was a strange one today, and I can't say with any certainty we actually played particularly well going forward today. No. I mean, we spoke at the start about the first three games, and we haven't actually played on the front foot, I don't think. Is this just something we're going to have to get used to with Phil Parkinson, do you think?
Unfortunately so. I think that's the way he plays. I felt that as much as White wasn't great today, I felt really sorry for him in the first half, because it was the same last week with Danny Graham. There's just no support. We're getting the ball and we're not steaming. Once the ball's going long to Charlie today, there was no one supporting him. So what's he going to do? He's going to lose the ball because he's not a great footballer, and B, they've got two or three defenders, overlapping him and everything. Then what's he going to do? It's really strange, isn't it? Really, how we've gone from the first game where Grigg was playing and we were lumping balls up to him, to last week we were lumping balls up to Danny Graham and not supporting him, and the same again today. It's weird. Yeah,
a lot of set pieces today, Malk. Don't think we've threatened overly though, did we? We had a lot of corners. I think in the first 20 minutes or so we might have had 5 corners, and it carried on from there. We had quite a lot of free kicks around the box. I think we had one really good free kick position where I think Scowen took it. I might be wrong, but yeah, a lot of set pieces today. Is it concerning that we aren't putting those in the back of the net? I don't think we've scored from a set piece yet, have we, this season?
I don't think so, no. In pre-season, we had obviously a couple of good corners against some of the kind of younger teams in that Villa under-21s. I know we did okay from set pieces, but I don't think we're making enough of set pieces, and I think that's a trend from at least 2 of the first 3 games, because last week against Oxford, Maguire had a couple of good chances and didn't really hit the target with them. This week, if you're putting Charlie White in the box and you get a bunch of corners, he's got to get across the defenders and attack the ball, and he's just not doing that now. I don't know if that's because today their centre-backs had a good game and took him out of the game. But, at this level, you've got to do more with set pieces for me. And, we ended up winning the game with a set piece from a penalty spot, so you can't grumble too much. But now that if you're putting a big lad in the box, you've got to do better. Interestingly, half of the time that our corners were cleared was by their centre-forward, He cleared a lot of the ball, so I'm just pleased he wasn't as good in the air at the other end of the pitch, or we could have been in big trouble.
Yeah, overall then, and pleased with the win, I guess. Yeah, obviously, it's a big result, isn't it? Even at this stage of the season, beating Peterborough United after beating Oxford, the 2 teams that most AFL pundits were tipping to take top spot and second spot in the league. I mean, the season is a long way away from being over, but that gives Sunderland a massive advantage, doesn't it?
Certainly, and also throw in the fact we've kept 2 clean sheets against them as well, and possibly haven't played very well. We probably haven't hit top gear. I think it was a lot better last week in the second half against Oxford, but today we just played badly and won, and that's the sign of a championship winning side, really.
It's a sign of a Phil Parkinson championship winning side, I think. I mean, Bolton didn't set the world alight, did they, when they went up under Parkinson? And like I say, it's not pretty. We're not going to enjoy the football, Malk, are we? But it's gonna be one of those where we're going to win more than we lose, and we're going to keep a lot of clean sheets, I think.
And if we keep clean sheets, we don't have all them draws we had under Ross, and that's the difference. Sometimes you've got to keep the back door shut in order to get anything out of a game. And after the first half today, a lot of people would have took a 0-0, because it's a point against a team that are definitely going to be pushing us. But yeah, it's a Parkinson thing. You've got to win ugly now and again, and I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that, because there's a good chance as teams start to gel after a very disrupted pre-season, you're not going to get an opportunity to get 3 points like that again against a side like that. No.
Do you think that these kind of performances and these 2 wins have come because we haven't got any fans in? Because, I mean, if there was, say 25, 30,000 fans in today, by the 60th minute we'd have been well on the backs, wouldn't we? But because there's no fans there, they keep going.
It's one of them. I think, to be honest, the Bristol Rovers game, I don't think we draw that game if there's fans in the stadium. I think we win it, because they wasted time. They belted the ball into the stands where there was no ball boys. There was nobody putting pressure on the referee to book the players for time wasting, and I think had the fans been in the ground, would have beat Bristol Rovers. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I think. We'll never know. But that today, I don't think personally that the fans would have made much of a difference. I think we were very efficient, and we tried our best not to make mistakes today, which is the most important thing, isn't it, really, when you're playing a good side with good players. I think the fact, like I said, that I didn't think Dembele and Clark Harris played well speaks volumes of how we defended. And I think you just got to give the players credit where it's due, to be honest.
100%.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the one thing about the Oxford game, I thought, the way that 09 really rallied when he got that goal, and I know it was a bit of a, it fell for him in a bit of a weird way, but he took it very, very well. And the bloke was like, absolutely off on one after that, with confidence and guts and determination, I'm not sure that 09 or the rest of the team might have done as well in the second half with the pressure that we were under. But, it's irrelevant. Hopefully the lads will be in such a good position by the time we all get back in there that we're just singing our guts out for them, because if we keep getting draws and wins like we have the last 3 games, then we're going to be in the mix.
Great. Right, okay, let's move on to the player ratings then, lads. For once I've took notes. I can't believe it. Organised. I haven't just been staring at my phone and looking at the screen and staring at my phone. I actually paid attention today. I'm going to start things off. Lee Burge today, mixed bag. He made a lot of saves, but I just didn't feel confident. He was palming them away, and he was the very first one. I think it might have been Dembele who had the shot, actually. He palmed it straight into the path of Johnson Clark-Harris. And I said this on Twitter when I posted my ratings on Twitter to people who were asking why I'd maybe not marked Burge higher. I just think if Clark-Harris scores there, which he probably should have, let's be honest, he was one-on-one with Burge, and his finish is awful. Then all we're doing is talking about how Burge passed it to him, basically. So that kind of soured it for me, and there was a few more moments. There was one where they had a free kick which hit the bar, and it was central, and he was nowhere near it. So although he kept a clean sheet and he did make saves, I didn't feel particularly assured, so I went with a 6 for Lee Burge. Some people might think he played better than that, but yeah, 6 for me. Don't know if either of you disagree with my mark there.
I can't disagree with that.
No?
6 for me, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think on the page the lads have given him a 5, and I think he's somewhere between the two. I agree with you, Gav. He's not commanding his box. He's not giving convincing performances. But as a defensive unit, they kept a clean sheet. So somewhere between 5 and 6, I think, is probably about fair.
Sweet. Okay, next up, Ant Denver Hume. Yeah, great again today. He's started the season on fire for me.
Yeah, fantastic again from him. Probably our best player, I think.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Grant Ledbetter could challenge him for that, but I thought he was excellent. Again, attacking wise, very good. Crossing today a lot better from what he's used to. He put an absolutely fantastic ball in the first half, which I think 09 got on the end of it. Very unlucky, actually. But again, I think his defending's getting a lot better. He's turning into a top quality player. Top quality footballer.
I'm nodding my head here, and people can't see it, but yeah, I think he deserves credit for his defensive improvement. He's putting in some big tackles, what he wasn't doing 2 years ago when he first came into the team. He's always looked a bit powder puff, but some good tackles went in the day from him.
Yeah, strong as well to win the penalty. I mean, you know, we've not really discussed the penalty, but probably wasn't, but we'll take it. You know,
but it was that run from deep, what he does quite often. I mean, he touches the ball away from him quite heavily, but because he does that, the defender lunges in and he gets a penalty, you know, and he's probably the only player we've got who can do that.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, to some more, possibly the most improved player that what we've seen this season anyway, and I think it's continued on from last season. I thought he was getting better and better as the season was going on, so I'm just over the moon for him because I really like him as well, so it's really good. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to give him a 9 today.
Yeah, why not? I've gave him an 8, Malk. What about you? I don't know if you...
I would give him a 9 as well. Yeah. I mean, there was a line in the pre-match presser or whatever it was with Parky where he said, you know, he's gone into COVID lockdown a lad and come out a man. Yeah. And I think that summarises it very well. He's built himself up a bit. He's not shirking from tackles. He's really having a go. And yeah, he had a cracking game today. You know, really went through people on the tackles. One of our most convincing attacking options, which is both great for him, but a little bit disappointing for the rest of the team at the same time.
Yeah. Next up is Tom Flanagan. Mal, that's your turn. We've already spoke about him. Played fairly well today.
He did, yeah. Jimmy gave him 7 on the website, I think. I would agree with that in the main. As we said, you know, bringing the ball out and looking for options through the midfield. We really lacked that in the first half last week against Oxford. We didn't really have any joining up, and Flanagan really tried to do that this week. Some great tackles, as we said. Sometimes Willis gets a lot of credit for being, you know, the guy who really bosses his area, his zone. But Flanagan did that really, really well today. I would give him an 8 rather than the 7 that Jimmy gave him. I think he was probably the best of our 3 centre-backs. Bailey Wright was up there with him. But yeah, a very strong performance. As we said before, really giving the coach some difficult choices to make as Jamajli gets fit. Yeah,
Jordan Willis next up. There was once in the game actually where Dembele sort of knocked it round him and just left him for dead, where he looked exposed. Other than that, didn't really put a foot wrong. I felt in the first half, I wrote down that I thought he slowed us down a little bit when we were going on the attack. I noticed that particularly Maguire was trying to find him every time he got the ball, and Willis was starting his runs from deep but not really getting into a sprint. And from there, we looked slow going forward. So in an attacking sense, didn't play particularly well, but he is a centre half. We kept a clean sheet, 6 out of 10, probably the least the least impressive of the defenders, but I wouldn't say he did anything wrong particularly. Yeah, I think we'll just move past Jordan Willis. Not really much to say there. Bailey Wright
agreed.
next up, and yes, like I said, put another good performance in, and we have to take note of the fact we don't concede goals when this guy plays. You know, another game today where he's done fairly well and another clean sheet.
Yeah, and obviously dealt with Johnson Clark-Harris very well.
Yeah.
Like he did last season. I think I'm pretty confident he played against him last season. Clark-Harris was nowhere near him. So it's like, I just think Bailey Wright is too good for this division, which I think we're going to be happy enough to have. You know, as long as he stays fit, we're not going to concede many goals. He's just head and shoulders above anybody else, really. Today, he was just his usual self, wasn't he? Wasn't as colossal as he was last week against Oxford. Didn't have to be though, did he? So probably a 7.
No, he kind of man-marked Clark-Harris out of the game for me. Yeah, so I would say you're right. Yeah, 7 sounds about right to me. Mark, next up, Luke O'Nien, another one who probably had a better second half than his first half, but he's starting to thrive from wide areas just like Hume is, but maybe not got the same delivery.
Yeah, that was the only thing that was missing, really. The difference between Hume and O'Nien this week was that final ball. You know, he was having a go. I don't think he's quite got the pace that Hume has. So when he stops and looks for the pass, he hasn't got the capability to do a step over and take a man on. But he had a good game. He had the ball just got stuck under his feet in the box at one point, and you know, you just think, well, if that had dropped anywhere else, you know, he probably would have got a goal, and as he did last week. But yeah, I wouldn't disagree with the 6 to 7 out of 10 range. Jimmy went for 6 on the website. I think 6 is fair, and he's unlucky not to get a 7. If his final ball had been better, then he would have had a 7, I think.
Yeah, I gave him a 7, but I can't argue he wasn't a 6. Like I say, indifferent at times. He put a really good ball in just after half time, I remember, which nobody got on the end of. But Luke O'Nien, he's the same every week. He's a 6 or a 7 out of 10, isn't he? Mm-hmm. We can't complain about his effort. And again, it was great listening to him through the week. I don't know if anybody else heard it on the club podcast, but he talked a lot about how he's had to work on his 1v1 defending since he's become a wing back, and he actually really enjoys playing there. He is getting better. You know, it's great to see both of them on the flanks there, starting to pick up tips from the centre halves, because the defending's getting better and confidence improves with clean sheets. So yeah, Luke O'Nien, another one who did okay today. Next up, Josh Scowen. I think this is me. I think I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if he did enough to keep his place. 6 out of 10, both halves I've got written down. I thought actually when he moved, and I'm going to sound like a right hypocrite when I say this, but Parkinson talked about him being the third midfielder on the right of a 3. When he did move further right, he did give us a little bit something extra. I felt he was a bit more dynamic, and he seemed to get on the ball more than when he was playing completely central. Though whether he did much, again, is up for debate. To be honest, I've got very little written under his name in my notes. I just don't think he really stood out. So 6 out of 10 is about average for me, and that's what I'm going for. I don't know if anybody wants to add that, because I did notice, obviously, Jimmy gave him a 6. Seen a few other people think he played well. I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that, but yeah, scoring another one a bit like Jordan Willis. There's not much to say about how he played, to be honest.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when we had to change formation because of injuries and stuff, and he got pushed out wide. But I agree with you. When he went out wide, he did do well. You know, he put some great crosses in. You know, there was a couple of very, very good crosses that he whipped in. Nobody on the end of them, but
yeah.
You know, that's just the way it is sometimes. But I don't know much about Josh Scowen. I need to do some reading, because I don't know where he should be. You know, the way Luke O'Nien used to be a midfielder and now he's a wing back.
Yeah.
I don't know what Scowen used to do in previous clubs. I haven't done enough research about him. Maybe
centre midfield.
Is he just pure central?
Yeah. Well, funny you should say that. When we signed him, I spoke to a bunch of QPR fans and a bunch of Barnsley fans, and they all said he was a box-to-box midfield player, or somebody who sits in front of the back four and just breaks play up. But we haven't seen that from him yet. But the guy's not really had enough opportunities for me to really stamp his authority. And I'm thinking next week, if Power's fit, which it doesn't sound like Max Power's injury was too serious, I doubt Scowen plays. Even if I don't even see him playing in front of Maguire, I think I think he'll find another way, maybe getting O'Brien into the team and playing Danny Graham up front. So I think if anybody should be looking over their shoulder after today, it's probably Scowen. And I wouldn't say he played particularly poorly. It's just one of those things. He didn't do enough to impress, to keep the captain out of the team anyways. Next up, Grant Leadbitter, who scored the goal. And that's yours, I think. Leadbitter, another decent enough performance, really.
Yeah, I thought he was probably our best passer today. I thought his passing was excellent. In our first half, like I said, with everything, I was just worried he was going to get outran off Dembele, and Dembele left him for dead.
First 10-15 minutes, yeah, he did a few.
Yeah,
he got back on his feet. Yeah, but he got back on his feet, and he
did.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He did. I think since the last couple of when he has started, I don't think any of us expecting him to play as many games. I know we're only 3 games a season, but to play 2 and do well. He's done well today. I thought his passing was very, very good. And I mean, the one player you want to take a penalty is Grant Leadbitter. He doesn't miss them, does he? He's a fantastic penalty, really well taken, really well hit. Cool, calm under pressure, because they were complaining for about 2 or 3 minutes, weren't they, to the referee, and he just got the ball and just walked away, started bouncing the ball, didn't get involved with it, just didn't let it affect him, put it in the back of the net. And, for a Sunderland lad, you've got to be happy for him, haven't you? Because he's come back, he's done whatever he's done with his wage cut, he's obviously lost his mother last year, he's took a bit of time out in the game, and this might be the second or third coming for him now, really, because, he's looked very impressive today and not really let his legs go, you know what I mean? Like, he's like when we saw him last year, he was getting outran far too easily, getting out battled far too easy. I think he's got used to what he can do now, and he does that quite well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he had a great game today. I mean, he cleared that shot that was deflected off the line, didn't he?
Yeah, he did,
in the second half, and that was 1-1. There's no way Burge was getting anywhere near that. He put a couple of really important tackles in where he used his experience to just put his foot on it.
There was one on Dembele. There was one. Sorry to jump in, but there was one on Dembele who was just about to pull the trigger, and Leadbitter came across and toe poked it away. It was a great interception.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I can't remember who got man of the match on Jimmy's summary. If it wasn't Leadbitter, I think he was up there, definitely with a shout for it, because I agree. You're seeing him in games this season where he's tracking back, and I'm not recognising it's him because he's actually catching players up, whereas last year he just couldn't. So he's done something with his speed and his fitness. But yeah, great game. Let's
breeze through the rest of these then, lads. Chris Maguire went off quite early. Malk, I think this is you. Yeah, Chris Maguire, he went off, after half an hour or so? How do you think he played?
Yeah, until he went off, I thought he was a bit indifferent, a bit like he was in the first half last week.
Yeah.
He didn't really command the midfield like he can. He's having a little bit of a flat spot. I don't know if he needs to be rotated out to get him hungry again, but yeah, I think he was a 5 or a 6 at best. Shame he's gone off injured, but hopefully he'll get back quickly and prove us all wrong that he can get back on the team.
Yeah. To be honest, I only noted down 2 things. There was 4 minutes in when the ball fell to him, I think just on the edge of the box, his shot was rubbish. Then about quarter of an hour in, he just tried to play a crossfield ball. I think the Denver Human, he just battered it out of play. It was he was slack today when he was on the pitch. So I think you're probably about right with a 5 or a 6. Lyndon Gooch is me. I've given him a 5 in both halves. I think he was completely anonymous in the first half. Then in the second, he was a little bit better. So maybe I could give him a 5.5 at a push, but just quiet. For somebody who'd done so much to throw himself back in the limelight last week, didn't do enough for me today. But I think he's one of those players you have to keep him on the pitch because he's got a goal in him. He's got a bit of magic in him. And in a team that's lacking completely in that, sometimes you've got to carry 1 or 2 players when they're not playing particularly well. Maguire being another one. He doesn't always have to play well to do something in the game, as we saw against Bristol. So yeah, I'm going for a 5 with Gucci. And to round things off, the worst of the starters, I would say, Ant, Charlie Wyke. I don't mean to be unkind to the lad, but Jesus, our first half in particular.
Look at you, Ant.
Oh, you know what?
Talk about that for 20 seconds.
I don't want to be so critical of him. I'm always critical of him every time I'm on the pod. He doesn't give him... he just doesn't give us any excuse not to. So, a little bit better than he was in the second half, but I could have been better than him in the second half, and I'm 20 stone, so 3.
3. I think you're being generous. I
can't say it. I don't want to go into it. You know what I mean? I don't want to really.
You don't want to be nasty.
I don't know, because he's trying. He's just not good.
Well, you say that. I've got written down on 45 minutes. Can he be arsed? Because there was a point just at half time where he didn't even try to get on the end of a cross. I can't remember who put it into the box, but it was begging for him to just burst into it. He didn't even have to run quick. Just get on the end of it. It's like he's a centre half playing up front. That's how I feel. And even then, he's not very good in the air. Let's just keep it at that with Charlie White.
We'll leave it at that. I don't want to go into him too much.
Yeah, right. I'll round off with the subs. O'Brien, I actually felt he did okay. At a time when the strikers and the forwards weren't getting on the ball enough, Maguire had just gone off and played poorly. Gooch was doing nout. And White, less said about him the better. O'Brien came on and got on the ball all right. Everything didn't work, but he got more involved than the rest. So I gave him a 6 for his performance in both halves. Danny Graham didn't do a lot. 5.5 is probably about right. I think there was one little thing that he did where he linked up play, and he did chase down the keeper and the defence when they were trying to play out from the back, so a bit credit for that, but wasn't really on long enough to impact the game. And likewise, Conor McLaughlin just came on to waste a bit of time, and I don't even think he touched the ball in the time he was on the pitch.
Which is a good thing.
We'll go straight to the man of the match then, and we'll start with you, Malk. Man of the match today, I've got a feeling we'll be pretty resounding on this one, but who was your pick?
So it was 50-50 for me. I think Denver Hume shades it, but again, significant mention for Grant Ledbetter. Such a massive improvement. So, in another game he would have been man of the match, especially the way he took that penalty. But Denver shaded it for me. Yeah,
what about you, Ant?
Yeah, I've got Denver Hume with special mention to Conor McLaughlin for coming on the pitch. But Hume, fantastic.
Hume for me as well, just think he's just improving so much, and it was great to see his final ball that little bit better today as well. That's the one criticism pretty much everyone has of him. I think we might have given him man of the match last week. I'll have to listen back again, but he's just he's becoming an important player for us, and more of that, please, Denver. Thanks everyone for listening in. It's been great to talk about another 3 points, and we'll be back next week after Charlton. Oh well, there we go. Yeah, another tough game for Sunderland. It's typical. Did this not happen to us last year? I think we played Bolton, didn't we? We drew 0-0 with them, and they'd been battered off everyone for playing their kids. Comes to the Sunderland game, and they'd signed about 20 players and managed to pull a draw out of the hat. But cheers lads for joining us. Everybody listening, thank you very much. We love talking about wins here at ROKER Report, so hopefully you'll join us back next week and we'll have more of the same to talk about.